I am like nervous. The pining. That was like a crazy few pages. I'm not sure how I feel about the romance. Hello, my name is Emily Crow from Crochet Creations and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today we are doing another Vlogmas video and today is going to be a longer time vlog that I'm filming over the next couple weeks. So I'm not actually sure which number of Vlogmas this is going to be. Towards the end for sure. I'm doing a vlog for my book society box from Woolberry Fiber Co. And if you don't know about this box, this is kind of like a seasonal advent type of calendar where, my understanding, if I remember correctly, in the back of my brain, there is a book and 4 skeins of yarn, 4 full skeins of yarn. The skeins of yarn have different page numbers of the book on them. When I get to that page number in the book, I can then open that skein of yarn, which is inspired by that page or what's happening on that page. And so as I'm reading the book, I get reveals of my yarn. So perfect blend of fiber arts, books. I had to do it. I signed up for the full year, so I'm doing 4 different boxes. This is the very first box. It's the winter box. And I think we should open it together and take a look. You are going to see my reaction face. And then I'll show you kind of what's inside. So of course this is going to have spoilers. I'm not putting this video out until you have had the chance to take a look and see things. Let me know if you made this purchase as well. Also, we'll see what book this is. I hope it's a book I haven't read yet because this would be perfect for this season. Now let's take a look. I forgot my scissors. I'm gonna use some embroidery scissors. Do not do this at home. This is a crappy pair I've had for a long time. They don't even like close properly, so I don't mind trashing these. How does this box open? Get to see my face as I open the box, because I don't know how spoilery it is, and then I will show you what I see. Well, no spoilers. Okay, but this is so cute. Look, there's like little books on it. Oh, I can hear stuff moving around. Let's see what else is in the box. I'm assuming this is the book. It's so cutely wrapped. Oh my goodness. There's a hot chocolate. There's a mug. It says winter. Cute. And my yarn. Oh my goodness. We've got page 11. Page 101, page 246, and page 392. Oh, there looks like there's something else in here too. Oh, cute. Okay, there's 2 things. There's a little tag you can put on it that says made by me. Needle stoppers. Aw, cute. Okay, now it's time to open my book. I'm really excited to see. It's like a 400-page book. It doesn't necessarily look that thick. I am like nervous. I really hope that this is a book that I've been interested in. It comes highly recommended from Woolberry, so I shouldn't be as nervous as I am. I don't recognize this book. Oh good, it's not one I've read. One Day in December by Josie Silver. Ooh, I'm excited. Oh, wait, this came out of the package too. Stop, this is so cute. Look at that bookmark. Oh my goodness. Okay, I feel much better because I don't recognize this book. So I actually have no idea. I have no idea. So it'll be really fun to read a book with 0 expectations. I am definitely in the mood for a cute Christmassy romance. I think it's a romance if I remember correctly. Josie Silver, I've also heard of that name before, but I've never read any of her books. So I'm excited. This should be a fun endeavor. I am trying to decide if I should just start reading so I can get to the first skein of yarn because it's only page 11. I think I might do that just so that I can take advantage of at least getting into the first skein. Yay! And then as far as like a project though, I'm currently not entirely decided. Honestly, I'm going to wait until I open up all of these before I decide a project, but I'll probably cast that on during this video, at least get started on that. So I will let you know what I decide. To be determined, but let's get into reading this. I really do have other things that I need to do today, and so I'm just gonna get started so I can open up the first skein, and then we will table this and come back to it another day where I can actually sit down, get cozy, use my hot cocoa, and enjoy my new mug. But for now, we're just gonna do the first little bit so I can open up a skein. Because it's Christmas, and because I've just fallen hopelessly in love with a stranger at a bus stop. Next year, 2009, we have hit page 11. I'm gonna read it first, and then I'll open my skein of yarn. New Year's resolutions. So this means like it's just barely after the scene at the bus stop. This hurts my heart. I mean, my heart was already hurt from the bus stop, and now it's like a forbidden love. Oh, my heart. Okay, time to open page 11 skein. I'm so sorry. My desk is kind of messy. Not like superbly so, but enough that someone might comment. Just, I'm living my life. I apologize. I probably need to do a tidy for maybe one of my Vlogmas videos. I should do a tidy. Page 11. Here we go. What does this heartbreak look like? It's too early for a heartbreak, but I guess that's second chance romance. Ooh, look at this one. It's like a silvery, bluey gray. It's called Bus Stop. Honestly, I really like books that are self-aware, that like make fun of tropes. Like books about authors who then make fun of authory things. Or in this case, she makes fun of a little bit that she fell in love with someone at a bus stop. If anyone was noticing what was going on, it would be like the perfect 60-second movie. They do go together, huh? Because there's like that silvery color. Yeah. This book feels like it's a rom-com. Like from the early 2000s. Very much so. It's giving me that vibe. So I don't know if things are going to work out with her and Mystery Man, or if there's going to be somebody else in the picture that she's going to find out she actually loves the somebody else and not Mystery Man at the bus stop. It could go either way. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. I'll have to come back to this because I have other things I need to be doing, unfortunately. We'll have another fun, cozy day where we get a good chunk of this done and maybe make it to the next game, which isn't until page 101, which if I have a good hot chocolate, if I'm all cozy on the couch, I could definitely make it in like 1 or 2 readings. Hello, it is Emily again, and we are back for a cozy day. It's kind of overcast today. I don't have work. I've worked like 4 night shifts in the past 5 nights, and then last night I had a break, and I've kind of gotten like recovered a little bit from working so many nights, and today I'm ready to just be cozy, read some of my book, and kind of get into it. So I made myself some hot chocolate in my new mug. It is very rich, so I'm going at it slowly, but enjoying the nice warm beverage. My cat Alfred is joining us. So I'm maybe like 50 pages in. I read like 25 pages while I was biking this morning and I didn't even go for very long. So that's a good sign that this will be a really fast read. My goal for this sitting is to get to page 101 so I can open up this next skein and we'll see how much farther I go. The third skein to open up is on page like, I feel like it's like 236 or something, so that'll be a ways away. I don't think I'll get there today in this sitting, but we'll see. We're definitely gonna get to page 101 though. That's the goal. I don't think I've read a romance book that pines so hard as this one does, because she's pining after her best friend's new boyfriend, who is the man from the bus stop, and you find that out on the back cover, so that's not a spoiler. This is going to be a spoiler-free vlog. Man, all the feels. I'm glad that I am already married and happy, because this would make me really sad if I was single to read this book. But I'm hoping there's a happy ending by the end of it, right? But let's get cozy and get to reading. We're finally gonna talk about the bus stop. Ah! Confessional time. Man, confrontation. Actually, not a confrontation. Almost something happened. Then something happened. That was like a crazy few pages. Whew. But now it's time to open my next skein of yarn for page 101. I think I know what it's going to be called. Oh, look at this. What a beautiful color. Greens with like some yellows in there too. What's it called? Oh, summer hedgerow. He said her eyes were the color of summer hedgerow, which I was like, I don't know what that means. I guess this is the color. The aching, the pining. So at page 101, it is now 2 years after she first saw Jack at the bus stop. 1 year-ish since her best friend started dating Jack. Oof. Okay, I kept reading because I didn't want to end off on that, like, note. And oh my goodness, this story is going way out in left field. I guess that's what happens when this book takes place over multiple years. But lives change, people go places, people meet other people. Interesting stuff. We'll see how far I get. It's not even noon yet. I'm gonna go shopping this afternoon for some Christmas supplies. But until then, I think I'm just gonna read some and then have my lunch when I'm feeling hungry. This is fun to get into. It's like almost 400 pages of a book, so if I get like a good chunk done today, that'll feel really nice. Hello, it is another day. Oh my gosh, I'm shaking so bad. It is another day. My voice is doing even worse today. So today is a vocal rest and reading kind of day. I'm about page 150 something, and I double checked. The next skein of yarn is available at page, I think, 248. maybe. I don't know if I'll get there today because I have a lot of other things I need to do. Gotta do some video editing, but hopefully I can make some good progress. Give myself a little vocal rest. Goodness, what a chapter. Oof. I've got like 20 pages left until the next skein of yarn, but I have a lot of work to do. So hopefully I can get back to this later today, but it is time to edit. Hello, hello, it is another day and hopefully the last day of me reading. One day in December. I've got maybe like 90 pages left, so not very much. I'm hoping to wrap this up. Today is going a little different than I thought. I just finished a couple night shifts. I was hoping to come home, take a little nap before just having an easy day, recovering from working night shifts. And my daughter threw up, so I'm home with her and not sleeping. So we'll see how far I get on the book right now, but I'm gonna try to knock it out. And then maybe I'll start looking at some pattern ideas for what to do with my 4 skeins of yarn for this Book Society box. Can't see. Pick a spot. Okay, I have exactly 20 pages left. This book is just so different than any other romance I've read because it takes place across like 10 years or something, and it feels very much more like a general fiction, the crap that life gives you, but there's like, I guess, a romance underlying it all. I'm not sure how I feel about the romance. I will let you know when I finish the book. This is a very different book than I usually read. I'm sure it could be someone's cup of tea though. I am going to do a little bit of reading. I might finish this right now before I take my nap for night shift, but my mother-in-law's here. Thank you, so that she can watch my little one and I can take a little nap. Thank goodness my kiddo has not thrown up during the day yet, just overnight. So hopefully we are on the up and up, but I do really need to sleep. It's actually something I do every time I need to take a nap, go to sleep for the night. I try to read a chapter or two of a book just to kind of help my brain wind down, just so I'm not on my phone or whatever, and that actually helps. And that's been really good for my sleep hygiene. So I'm still gonna do that, read a little bit. I might finish because it's only 20 pages, which is crazy. So you might see some of my live reactions for like the last chapter. December 23rd. I think this is the last chapter. I think I'll have more thoughts about this book. That last little bit definitely hit me in the feels. I love the idea of right person, wrong time, and that they stayed in each other's lives to some extent until things finally worked out. I feel like that's not a spoiler because in romance you want things to work out, right? So even though it doesn't say that on the back cover, like you assume it's gonna work out. So I like that aspect, though I don't think I'm a fan of Jack as a person. Yeah, I am not impressed by him. And even Lori is like the female main character. I like her more than Jack, but like I also don't super identify with her either. And I guess it's a little hard for me to think about like fated mates, you know, people that are meant together, when my personal belief is that like there are lots of people that can be a good fit for you. And I mean, of course, there are some people that are a good fit for certain seasons of your life, but I also feel like you could be happy for your entire life with like many options of people. There's not just like one soulmate. And that's kind of not what this book is about. This book is very much like these two people are fated to be together. And so they have to traverse like different relationships and like life struggles, deaths, marriages, pregnancies, all the life changes that could possibly happen to themselves or other people they know. Like everything happens over the course of these 10 years. But I need to mull on this. I need to take a nap, so I'm going to do that now, and then after my nap, I will show you the final skein that's based off of the very last page of this book. And maybe I'll gather my thoughts a little bit more about my rating on this book and any other thoughts I want to share about it. Also, I just realized this is my 100th book I've finished this year. Crazy! What a milestone. I did not have a goal for this year, but I really fell into reading with starting my job again and working full-time. I drive a lot, and so I've been doing a lot of audiobooks and then switching kind of my sleep hygiene to be reading before bed, and not just knitting and crocheting on my night shifts if my patients are sleeping, but also doing some reading. I've been able to fit a lot of reading in, and it's pretty amazing. Book number 100 I finished this year. Right, it is another day. Got some rest, taken a shower, done all the things, so I feel much more alive right now. And I am switching to day shifts again, so that'll be nice to kind of get my schedule back intact. I finished one day in December yesterday, and I've had some time to ruminate and to kind of think about my review and my thoughts and feelings. So I'm going to share my review with you right now and kind of let you know what my thoughts are and who I think this book would be a good book to read for. Here are my skeins of yarn. Yee! So pretty. This one's called Bus Stop. This one is called Summer Hedgerow. This one is called Ginny's Bracelet. And this one is called We Got There in the End. And you can see a little better in this lighting, like a blue-green. I feel like these colors go really well together. Not necessarily like a singular palette, but I feel like thematically they go really well together. So I definitely want to keep them all together on a project, at least to some extent, and maybe if I have scraps, use them in something else. We'll talk about that later, but I think I'm going to do some looking around for pattern options that we'll do for that. But first, the book. One Day in December. This book spans like 9 or 10 years. These two people who meet at a bus stop and how their lives are basically intertwined. She looks for him for like a year, and you find out on the back cover too. Her best friend ends up dating him. When she's introduced to her best friend's boyfriend, she realizes it's the guy from the bus stop. That's kind of how it goes. Clearly, it's a romance. They end up together in the end. We got there in the end. I do not think this is my type of romance. This is very different than what I typically read, so I'm glad I gave it a try, but really I don't think this is for me. The problem with this book for myself is that personally I don't really believe in the like fated mates or like soulmate type of trope, and that's what this book hinges on. I feel like there's many people that you could be happy with and build a life with and be a good fit for, so that's something that like I'm not necessarily on board with. Plus the fact that I feel like I didn't see a lot of chemistry between these characters. Brief spoiler warning. I'm going to try to be kind of vague so the book's not going to be ruined, but I do want to tell you kind of my experience with reading it. So if you want zero spoiler, even like inklings of spoilers, then skip ahead. Here are some of my thoughts. I feel like I didn't see any chemistry between Jack and Lori, the two main love interests. You have like a dual perspective hearing from both of them, and there's like different dates. It'll be like December 12th in the year, and then it'll be like January 17th in 2009, and then the next chapter will be like March 12th in 2009. I don't know, so it's still like timeline chronologically, but it skips around dates for significant moments. I really liked that aspect, though it was kind of hard to follow. Wait, how long ago did so-and-so get engaged? And now that they're getting married and there's this big scene at the wedding and something's happening. Or how long ago was that bus stop? Like how many years ago? It was a little hard to tell exactly where I was along the timeline. I have to flip back and forth, changing pages to kind of look things up. So that was a little bit annoying, though I kind of like the concept, but maybe if there was a better way to like maybe label each page on like what chapter you were in or something. I'm not sure. I felt like I didn't see any chemistry between Jack and Lori, and I really wasn't rooting for them like at all. Jack is a horrible person in like a very realistic sense of a horrible person. He's not like a psychopath, serial killer or anything like really weird and out there. Like he is a normal person, but he's a very crappy person. So I did not like him. He was not a good guy, and he just got worse throughout the book. And people have ups and downs, but he was just a horrible person and said horrible things to people and used a lot of people. I was not a fan of him. Lori, I was more indifferent towards. There were things I really didn't like about her, but in general, she wasn't a horrible person. She just like wasn't my type of person. And I'm not sure, like I feel like in a romance you have to like the characters and you have to want to root for them, and for me personally I did not get that. I did not like the characters. I didn't root for them. I didn't see their love even, and so I was detached. There was a lot of emotional cheating. And while I don't think it's necessarily wrong to recognize, like, I am drawn to this person, I really like this person in a different reality, this could be my person or someone significant, more significant in my life. I don't think that's necessarily the problem. That's realistic, us as humans. But I think, like, sleeping with some person and having dreams about another person in an intimate way is not appropriate. I think telling people you love them when they are married to someone else is not appropriate. You know, things like that I feel like definitely crossed the line and made me not root for them even more. I don't know. And I feel like there wasn't like big epiphanies throughout the book. It's not like people changed or grew. They started out really young, like in their early 20s. I didn't feel like there was character growth throughout the book to explain like that they're getting older, wiser, learning more about themselves. There wasn't really any of that. I feel like the characters were very stagnant. All that to be said, I think that you would like One Day in December. One, if you've read Josie Silver's stuff before, I have not, so I'm not sure if this is common for her, but you might like this if you are a fan of this author. You might like this book if you are a fan of soulmates and that idea that like there was one person for you that's the best fit for you. I think you might like this book if you really like messy, unlovable characters that feel really realistic. This felt more like a general fiction book to me because there were so many like life events and like pivoting points within the story because it was spread out so long. So you might like this book if you like that kind of like general fiction type of feel rather than like focusing on like swoon-worthy romance. Not for me. I rated this a 2-star. This is my lowest rated book this year because mostly it's a romance novel, but for me, it did not tick any of my romance boxes. The very first chapter with the bus stop and the very last chapter where they reconcile, those two are really cute and made me cry a little bit because they were just so cute. But other than that, the whole other like 375 pages of this book, I was not feeling the romance. Not for me. I didn't like the characters. I wasn't rooting for them. I'm not necessarily sad that I read it, but I'm not sure if I'll pick up any more of Josie Silver's work. I might do a little research and see if there's another book of hers that's written differently. And also, okay, this is probably like a big one that's like the downer. I did not get the December, Christmas, holiday, winter vibes at all because it spanned across 10 years. And there were a couple moments that happened in a December of a given year that were significant, but I didn't get the vibes. I was hoping for the vibes, especially for like a December winter romance. So if you have read this book, One Day in December, you'll have to let me know what you thought about it, if you liked it. There's a market for every type of book out there. And just because this isn't my book doesn't mean it's not your book. I've seen lots of people really, really enjoyed reading this. For me, it's not for me. I am much more of the wholesome, swoon-worthy, really good people that have flaws, but they're not fatal flaws. There's a semi driving through my neighborhood. That's strange. So let me know down below if you have read this book or if you hope to read this book. And if you have a different experience or similar experience to me, I really like hearing about your experiences with reading too, as I share my experiences, and everyone's experiences are valid. So if you liked this book, that is okay, and I would love to hear about your experience. But also, if you didn't like this book, you are in good company because I did not really like this book. I didn't hate it, but I really didn't like it. My cutoff is kind of like a 3-star book is a book that I enjoyed reading but really had a lot of issues with. So books that I enjoy are on the more than 3-star. Things I did not enjoy reading are like less than 3 stars, kind of how I rate things. On that note, let's talk about project ideas for this. I decided to buy all of Woolberry's Book Society boxes. They're doing one for each season of the year. And I honestly really love this experience. There were some fun goodies. And so it was just a really fun experience. And I really kept wanting to read more so that I could see the next skein of yarn. And it was just really fun. I loved how Bethany pulled inspiration from the book to not only name, but also like do the colors for these skeins of yarn, but also the vibes too. I feel like she really nailed it. She's really artistic in her interpretation of yarn. I really, really love this experience of having this box, and I'm glad because I did do the subscription, so I'm getting them for every season. I think the next box maybe comes in like February. I'm not exactly sure, but I think what I want to do is use all the yarn from all 4 seasons to make a project. And it'll be like a blanket or something. I think would be a really good fit. Seeing all these colors together and how I feel like they work really well together in a cohesive palette, I want to keep the colors together, but I want a project where I can have like these 4 colors together and I can have each season together. But then all 4 seasons of boxes can all be together in one project. So I think I'm looking for a blanket or a shawl blanket thing. I want lots of colors, but I also want an easy way to keep the seasons together. So either like have quadrants or like something where I can have 4 distinct things. Or like granny squares is an idea I had. I could do winter granny squares a whole bunch, and then I can do spring granny squares a whole bunch. Things like that, so that these colors stay together, but they can be integrated in a larger project with the other seasons, and I can kind of point out, oh yeah, I remember this box, or this is the book I read for this. That's my thought. I'm going to do some poking around on Ravelry, and I will show you if I find anything that I'm leaning towards. And I think I'm going to finish off this vlog by casting on whatever project I decide to do, if there's a way to cast on with 1 box in hand, at least to get started. And then as more boxes come, I can add to the project. All right, so I've got my Ravelry up And I just went through and looked through blanket patterns. I was kind of drawn towards granny squares, so I started looking there too, and I've just put a few things in my favorites. I'm still mulling it over, but kind of the vision that I am seeing is that I'm gonna do crochet, which is good because I haven't done a lot of crochet projects recently. That'll use up a lot more yarn. It'll be faster to use up that yarn, so it'll be really satisfying to work on, I think. There's a couple projects that are more like Advent-y focused, and I wanna keep all my yarns together for this box. And so I think like a granny square type of style will work really well for that because I can use all 4 colors in one square, keep them together in that way, but also integrate those squares amidst other squares from other seasons. So that's kind of what I'm thinking. There's a couple other options, like a quadrupenia might be nice. You can see there's kind of like 4 quadrants. I just don't know how big I'd want it to go, especially because I feel like this is an Advent-y type of project. So if that big chunk is like 20 grams, like if I have 100 grams, like I don't think I'm going to use up all 100 grams of every single one of these skeins, but I do want to use up a lot. So I just don't know if that's a good choice. I mean, this sweet shop blanket is super cute, so that would be really cute, but I also feel like I'd have to get another color to go with it to kind of tie it all together. That's another thing with like a granny square project, like get another color to tie it all together, but that might work best. I did think that this granny square project, it's called the beach walk blanket, is a really interesting one because it's got like different sized granny squares and like the sections are broken up by some granny stripes, and so I could keep like all the colors from one season in one section and then start the next section with like granny stripes or something. I'm not sure. Choices. Project planning is hard, man. Though I think what caught my heart and my attention the very most is this pattern. Is called the Astrid Pillow by Mallory Crawl, and I love that there's a little bit different of a texture. I love how all the colors are just mixed in together. So I feel like this is starting to be what I envisioned, though I'm not sure if I want to do a whole other color for borders, but I also don't know how things are joined together, so I don't know if I have to have the same color as a border. So then I started looking at Mallory Crawl's other patterns, and she's got a few. She's even got an Astrid blanket, so uses that same stitches. She's got this Huga Burst hexie blanket, which actually uses 4 rounds of color in each hexie. Finally have it brought up. So there are 4 rounds of color in each hexie, and then there's the border. So that's an option. I don't think I would do this like pom-pom thing. That's something I could do. I could though just modify the Astrid pattern because it looks like there's like 2 rows of like puff stitches. I could do a 3rd row of puff stitches, close off the granny with the 4th color, and then have a 5th color as like the joiner between everything. Get something from like Knit Picks or We Crochet, depending on who has the best sales. I feel like this is what I'm leaning towards. So that means I would be able to like mix all the colors together in like different variations, which would be really fun and make things new and fresh while also keeping all of my 4 colors from this winter box together. I will ruminate and I will let you know what I decide. You'll see what project I start on. But I think I need to maybe get this pattern and then try it out a little bit, see how I like it, if I'm having fun, and if there's an easy way to adapt it, or like how much I would need of this main color to join everything together. I gotta do some investigating, but I think I'm leaning towards doing an Astrid blanket by Mallory Crawl. Alright, we are finishing out this vlog today. It is no makeup day. My sore throat was getting better. Now it's getting worse. That's how winter goes. I just have to wear a mask in public like at all times for the next like 4 months. It's fine. I'll be fine. 'Tis the season, right? So I've gotten started on these squares and I do really like this. This has been fun. I'm excited to keep going. I don't know how big this blanket will be, but I have 2 finished squares now. So this is technically my second one, but we'll get to that. My first square. So I did in order of the pages. So the first skein I opened, second, third, fourth. Ta-da! But it uses a lot more yarn, especially in this like second and third rounds. I tried to measure out, my scale is not great. It doesn't do any decimal places, it just does full grams. So 1 square for me is 12 grams. The first round takes maybe 1 gram. The second round takes 3 grams. The third round is 6 grams. And the fourth round takes about 2 grams. And these are all kind of estimates based on my crummy scale, but 12 grams total. I don't want to run out of like the light green and the light purple first, so I'm rotating the colors. So this is my next square I made where I started with the second color and went third, fourth, and then 1. So in order to make sure I use up the yarns all equally, I'm just going to continually rotate through so that hopefully by the end of these skeins, I will have an equal number of each color combination. And so I think I did the math. I think I will use, if it's 12 grams per square with 400 grams of yarn-ish, I should have like 30 plus squares. If I end up getting 32 squares, I should have 8 of each color combo, which would be awesome. But again, my math is kind of estimated, so I'm just going around and around and seeing how many I can make before I run out of my colors, because I'd rather have an equal number of each color combo than have as many squares as I can possibly make, and then I can always use like leftovers for like socks or something. So I don't need to use up 100% of all 4 of these skeins is I guess what I'm saying. So we'll see how long it takes me, but I have until I think February or March is when the next box is shipping, so I have plenty of time to work on these squares. This is like a fun little project. I have lots of ends to weave in, so I should try to do those as I go so that when I'm joining all these squares together, I don't have too much of a problem with like having to do all the ends at the end. I don't know what I'll use to join all these. Probably just buy something from Knit Picks or We Crochet, like a cream or maybe like a really light gray. I'm not quite sure. We'll get there when we get there. I'm probably gonna mix all of the squares together just for the randomized look. So I'm gonna make all the squares first and then join them all after the fall box that comes next year. So this was the winter box. Maybe I can get this blanket done before Christmas next year. That would be really fun. Maybe that would be a good Vlogmas for next year, is finishing up this blanket. I will share with you kind of how I did this because I did modify it. The original pattern just has 3 rounds. So the cluster round, the puff round, and then the outside round. Surprisingly, even though I added the 3rd round in of extra puff stitches, I didn't have to alter the 4th round. Or I didn't have to alter the 3rd round, which is now my 4th round at all. I had enough of the chain spaces that I could work into those just the same as written in the pattern, which was nice. And so that should make joining things together easier when I join as I go. So what I did was, for these puff stitches, there's like pairs of them. I did 3. And so what I did was, at the very beginning of my round, wherever that was, I did just 1 single puff. And then I did like a joined puff where I did 1 puff in 1 space. And then before I closed off the puff, I just did another puff in the next space. And so I made this like V-shape double puff. And then I closed it all off. And so that's why I added more puffs, but I didn't add more chain spaces. If that makes sense. And then I did 1 single puff. And then I did a joined puff, 1 in the previous space and 1 in the next space. So that made it so I now have 3 in each. I really like how that turned out. I did also hold my yarn double because I didn't want teeny tiny squares. The pattern calls for worsted weight yarn, and I did a couple of gauge swatches and decided that I liked my eye hook, my 5.5 millimeter hook, for doing this, held double. which is a little bit different than what's called for in the pattern, but I like this fabric that I'm getting because it's nice and squishy. There's lots of weight to it, so it should make a really good thick blanket, but it's also not too stiff. That is what I decided on. My very first square that I did with my actual yarn, I messed up. I made it, I was like, man, it's really, really tiny. It's like, why is it so tiny? I only held my yarn single for this one. I didn't realize till I was finished and I was like, what happened? There we go. That's all it took, was just holding my yarn single, and it's significantly tinier. I'm not going to do anything with this right now. If I need the yarn, I guess I will undo all of that. I should have enough little leftovers, so I should be fine to just keep on with my plan. This was really fun to make. I really liked how the construction of the squares was. I would definitely recommend this pattern so far, and we'll see how it goes as I'm making all of these squares and then joining them together at the end of next year. This will be a nice long-term project. It'll feel good to use up these skeins. Being crochet, it uses up more yarn, and so it'll be a faster process than if I were to use all of these skeins to knit a blanket. So I'm excited. It's been a while since I've crocheted, so I'm really excited to get back into this. Thank you so much for joining me for this Book Society box vlog. This has been so fun. If I had picked up this book by myself and read it, I would have been more disappointed. But because this process was part of the box, I had so much fun, even though this was not a book I necessarily enjoyed. I really loved having the goodies in the box. I loved being able to open the skeins as I got to the pages in the book. It was super, super fun. And I'm really excited to be working with this beautiful, beautiful yarn. I feel like the color palette works really well together, and these colors bring me a lot of joy. So I'm really excited that I am doing these Book Society box vlogs throughout the year, as I'm doing every season. I know that the spring box has already been like up for sale. I don't know if Bethany will have any extras from Woolberry Fiber Co, but that still means that the summer boxes and the fall boxes will still be available in the future. So keep an eye out for that. If you're interested in doing something like this, this has been really fun as a different kind of mystery box to open for my skeins. And I really love what Bethany does with her colors and how she pulls inspiration and the colors that she's come up with. And the joy I got from doing this box and kind of pairing my love for reading and my love for yarn together. On that note, thank you so much for joining me for this vlog and for joining me for Vlogmas in general. Make sure to keep an eye out for other videos that are coming out this month so that you can join in on all of the festivities, and keep an eye out for more of these Book Society vlogs. If you have any other like book or yarny vlogs that you would love to see, let me know down below, because I would love to make some content that you enjoy. Until next time, happy making and happy reading. Bye!